Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. This is episode 258 of the show. I'm your host, as always, Serg Vicente, man, and thank you guys so much for joining me once again, man. To everybody who is watching live currently on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Twitch, man, thank you guys, as always, for joining me on the podcast. We have a lot to get to, man. Fights are back. Not only are fucking fights back, there's obviously an amazing pay-per-view that's coming up this weekend, headlined by the notorious one, Conor McGregor, and Dustin Poirier, which I cannot wait for. And then, I mean, let's just keep it a beam, man. We had one of the most amazing, if not the greatest performance that I have ever seen in any combat sports performance, and that was done by Max Holloway this past weekend. So, look, before we jump into it, man, what's on today's menu? On today's episode, we're going to talk about Max Holloway and how he amazed and impressed this past weekend, man. It's something that I think a lot of us didn't anticipate, or maybe we fucking did. We'll discuss that and so much more, man. We'll also talk about the matchup between Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar. Should it have been stopped? He took an ungodly amount of punishment. I think the numbers have shown it. And honestly, we're going to go ahead and talk about those numbers as well, man. So, should that fight between Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar should have been stopped? We'll discuss that. Carlos Condit, is he back? Is he legit? Picked up a really nice win in the co-main event this weekend. KHABIB, the decision part 2. We'll go ahead and talk about that. And obviously, we'll talk about what's going on with UFC 260, man. A lot going on, a lot coming in sports, man. But let's go ahead and toast to you guys. It's an amazing morning, like we talked about before, man. It's morning coffee and fight news. Salute to you guys. And man, it's beautiful, bright and early. Obviously, this week there's so much going on. It is Martin Luther King Day today, so happy Martin Luther King Day to everyone who is listening. We posted something on our social media page earlier today, and one of the things it is this. And I want to just make sure that we're truly celebrating the life of a legitimate patriot. We're celebrating the life of somebody whom stood against adversity, stood against white supremacy, stood against people whom were just trying to stop him at all costs, and he really made a movement happen. And I think obviously he was a leader of the civil rights movement, as I think a lot of us already know. But it bothers me, man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It bothers me when we see some of these individuals reposting or quoting him and putting it up there. And I'm talking about that like Fox News crowd and some of those ridiculous individuals on that end. You see people who are blatantly white supremacists going out there and reposting and quoting Dr. King's quotes and essentially using what he's saying in vain, man. He spoke up for the little people consistently. And one of the things that I'm going to read to you guys really fast, and obviously people are like, Serge, this is a fight show. What are you doing? Well, check this out. If it wasn't for people like Dr. King, I would not be able to go out there and live this dream of mine. I wouldn't have the opportunity to speak to you guys on a weekly basis and make a living talking about fights and things that I love, man. So a couple things specifically to talking about Dr. King, especially right now, it is so timely, unfortunately. With everything that's going on in our country, obviously, Civil Rights 2.0 happened this past summer, and everything with honestly the Trumpies storming the Capitol and things that we've seen there. But one of the things and one of the people that Dr. King really spoke out about, again, obviously, is police brutality. And one of the things that he said, and I quote, this is Dr. King quote, is that there are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. It's amazing that these are something that this man said 50 years ago, and they still hold so true to this day, man. It's really disappointing. He also said this in September 23rd, 1959. He was addressing a public meeting at Southern Christian Methodist Conference in Mississippi. He went on to say, and this is specifically on white privilege, and the reason I want to bring this up is because what we saw at the Capitol was the definition of it. So he goes out on to say is that we must also realize that privileged groups never give up their privilege voluntarily. If we are victimized with the feeling that we can sit down comfortably by the wayside and wait for white man to voluntarily give us our justice deserved freedom, we will be the victims of a dangerous illusion which can only end up in tragic disillusion. So just give you an idea of the mindset that this individual had. And he was very open and honest about the climate and what needed to change then. And unfortunately, a lot of those things still hold true today. Let's use today as a day to celebrate Dr. King. Let's use today as a day to read and research and grow mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and truly understand what it is to be a humanitarian, what it is to be an American, and just a fucking human being, man. So salute to Dr. King today. His birthday was this past weekend, obviously, and today is the national holiday in Dr. King Day, man. So salute to him, and I want to go ahead and obviously kick the show off talking a little bit about that, because at the end of the day, man, that shit's important. You know, it's important, and it's one of those things that it's amazing to hear so many individuals who are just like, oh, come on, don't talk to me about that kind of stuff. This isn't what I want to talk about this present moment in time. Well, fam, at the end of the day, that's a part of the problem. To not sit there and actually discuss these things on an open forum, and the people who are actually uncomfortable about this listen to this shit, nothing's going to change, man. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this thing. Thank you to Dr. King, individuals like him that continue pushing the envelope forward, to Tamika Mallory, you know, Killer Mike, and the list, Trayvon, the list goes on and on. So many individuals out there doing their thing, man. So salute to all you legitimate freedom fighters out there. Thank you guys so much for doing what you do. All right. Let's keep the party going, man. I hope you guys are having, like I said, an amazing Monday. This is Morning Coffee and Fight News with the host of the Fight Podcast, Serg Vicente. And this weekend, holy shit, we were treated to a masterpiece. We were treated to artwork. That is what Picasso looks like. That is a Rembrandt. That is a Pollock. You know what I'm saying? That is a Basquiat. What we witnessed this past weekend, man, we saw Max Holloway go out there and absolutely dominate and destroy Calvin Kattar, man. He ended up winning by a score of, and get this is just ridiculous when you really think about the scores of this one. Let me put it up. 50-43 twice and 50-42, which means he ended up getting 3 10-8s, 2 10-8s on 2 cards and 3 10-8s on 1. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've never fucking seen anything like that, man. So, again, I'm going to say that one more time for you guys in the back. I mean, Max Holloway goes out there and gets a unanimous decision victory against Calvin Kattar, the number 6th ranked Calvin Kattar. 50-43 twice and 50-42. That's 3 10-8s on 1 card. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have never seen anything like that. And here's to be honest with you. He earned every single bit of it, man. Let me pull up some of these numbers, because it really blows you away. I have watched that fight since it came out. I've literally watched it, three or 4 times already. I mean, I can't get enough of it, man. I watched it right after the fact, and then I watched it again. But listen to this, man. Max Holloway landed a UFC record 445 significant strikes in that fight against Calvin Kattar. In the 4th round alone, he went out there and landed 141 significant strikes. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. We'll talk about this in a little bit. I was jumping up and down on my fucking couch screaming, stop the fight. It is one of the most wild beatdowns that you've ever seen. And one of the things about Max is that I've called Max Holloway time and time again. I've said he is every fighter's favorite fighter. He's one of those guys. He goes out there, has the same tenacity of a BJ Penn. You know what I'm saying? That straight Hawaiian warrior mentality. He's one of those dudes, and he's always went out there and he's had that kind of that gusto, that bravado. But one of the things that I wanted to go ahead and bring out also is, I mean, this dude's skill set. He just the evolution of Max Holloway here, and I'm looking for this for you guys. And again, this whole card, there was some amazing performances, the entire card. But guys, this one here, okay. Max Holloway averaged, okay, and get this, he averaged one significant strike landed every 3.4 seconds for the 25 minutes against Calvin Kattar. Once again, he averaged one significant strike every 3.4 seconds. Nobody puts that type of pace on, man. And one of the things that I actually heard, I think Chael Sonnen after the fight said, and I've never really thought of it this way, but it makes so much sense. When you fight Max Holloway, you don't just have to fight Max Holloway and all the skills that he has. And believe me, this motherfucker has a plethora of skills. You also have to deal with his pace. I've never seen anybody weaponize pace the way that Max Holloway does. Think about that. He's literally jumping you when you get in there. That is what Max Holloway does. He goes out there and he puts a pace on you that you cannot replicate. No one trains in that pace. Not only does he go out there and get better as the fight goes on, he throws more and more and more and more strikes. Most guys get tired as the fight goes on. He picks it up. And one of the things I got to say is this. Look, after the fight, Alexander Volkanovski, salute to you, fam. You're an amazing champion. But I think everyone understands, and I almost feel bad for Volkanovski, that the best fighter at 145 pounds is Max Holloway. And not only is he the best at 145 pounds, he's shit. That performance proves it. He's top 3 pound for pound at this point in time. No, fam, I didn't stutter. He's that good. He put a pace on dude. And one of the things, and again, you look at it, you feel bad for Volkanovski, and we'll talk about him a little bit, especially coming up with talking about UFC 260. But what Max Holloway did is something that, again, nobody has seen. He continues building the pace, and those losses to Alexander Volkanovski, I really think helped Max, because I saw a different Max Holloway. He was far more aggressive than we've ever seen him. And yeah, Max hurts people and he gets people out of there, he puts a pace on them. But from the onset, Max absolutely jumped on Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar is known as to be one of the best boxers in all of MMA. He manages range and distance beautifully. He has a long jab. He throws a beautiful right hand. And we've seen him get dudes out of there. We've seen him get durable guys out of there. We saw him get Jeremy Stevens, one of the most durable guys in the sport. We saw him getting him the fuck out of there. But it did nothing to Max. Max has a Hall of Fame level chin. You can hit that man in the face with a bat and absolutely nothing happens. I have no idea what they chew on in Hawaii, but that dude is just, you can't hurt Max. He keeps coming forward, and he just blew me away. Truly, one of the best performances I've ever seen. Salute to Max Holloway. You, my friend, are the 145-pound GOAT. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. All right, brings me to my next point. Let's move on a little bit, because he did impress. And don't get it twisted, Calvin Kattar impressed me as well. His heart, his tenacity. And don't get it twisted, even though he was getting beat up, his cardio never left him. And he was still throwing bombs. And I'm talking about bombs. He was cracking Max. The problem is, again, Max has this fucking granite-ass chin that nothing happens. So Max ended up walking through those shots. But the bigger question is this. You heard of all the strikes. He threw an ungodly number of strikes. Should the fight between Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar actually been stopped? I'm going to keep it a bean with you guys. You know, this is what I do. I always going to keep it a bean. 1,000% that fucking fight should have got stopped. Are you crazy? And look, and I understand everyone wants to say that, look, puncher's chance. Look, you even saw him. He threw some bombs. He hurt Max. He, even his corner in the fourth going into the fifth round, they were like, dude, and after that 141 strikes landed on him, they were like, look, man, he did have a 30-second stint. 30-second stint in that fourth round where you were like, oh shit, he looks like he's coming back. Max was pouring it on him. I'm talking about throwing shots to the body, throwing shots to the head. Max was sitting here talking to Daniel Cormier and Dan Hardy and John Anik on the side. He's screaming, I'm the best best boxer in MMA. And then no-look punches fucking Calvin Kattar. Dude, when you're starting to see things like that, I mean, obviously it is time for the fight to be stopped. I mean, was there any point in time where we thought that Max was truly in danger. And when you notice that, okay, our guy cannot get him out of there, our guys hit him with his best shot. And his best shot couldn't get this dude even, he couldn't even deter him at this point in time. He just keeps coming forward. Once that happens and you're seeing your man get wobbled, you're seeing things. The last time I saw something like that happen was Max Holloway beating the shit out of Brian Ortega. This is what he does. This is exactly what he does. And remember what happened to Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega had to literally take 2 years off. That ass whooping, that takes toll. Whether it be on your fight career, whether it be on your life, that shit takes a toll. And I hate to be the morbid guy to say this. MMA, we need to do a better job of actually calling fights. I talked about it on the boxing end a lot last year. What happened to Maximev Davyshev and the young man right in Chicago when this shit happened, when they're dying in the ring. We do not need shit like this to happen in MMA. That's all we're waiting for at this point in time. Glover Teixeira against Smith. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're seeing these fights happen too many where these guys are getting allowed to be taken out on their shield. We have to stop these fights. We have to. Calvin Kattar's tough. We proved it. But there's nothing in there. There was no evidence in that fight that shows or proved that that fight could have been stopped, that he could have won. He hit him with his best shot. He hit him with a huge elbow. Max Holloway ate that shit like some cupcakes and walked forward and continued beating his motherfucking ass. I don't fault Calvin Kattar's corner. I mean, I do, obviously. I do to an extent. They're fighters themselves, and that team is incredible. They believe in their guy, but it gets to a point in time you have to save your boy from themselves. And that's why I think fights like this need to be stopped. And I think referees like Herb Dean and things like that, dog, when you see my man doing a stink leg and he's literally doing a Bobby Shmurda walking backwards and shit, when he's pulling shit like that, fam, you gotta stop the fight. He is too much. You know what I mean? It was way too much. But all in all, Max whooped that ass. Calvin Kattar, you're tough as shit. Salute to all you guys. The rest of the card was dope, though, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Hope you guys are having a great day, man. Everybody who's watching live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, man, thank you guys so much. Remember, tell everybody, listen to the Fight Podcast everywhere podcasting is available. Apple, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Check us out at thefightpodcast.com. Check us out all social media platforms. And right there, guys, listen, like, and subscribe. I'm on live now, man. Let the mugs know, man. Tell people if they like fights, they like the Fight Podcast, man. Let them know now. All right. Salute to you guys. Again, it's a little morning coffee and fight news. Tell me where you guys are, man. Remember, we do this show together. Talk to me in the comments. Any questions, comments, anything you guys have about the fights, about anything I fucking said, anything about hip-hop, culture, ML King Day. Go out there, man. Join us live right now. You can go ahead and comment right on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Check us out on the show. All right. Also, this fight card, man, it wasn't just a main event. The whole card fucking delivered. And for this fight to actually be on ABC, this is the first fight card on ABC. You gotta love it. You gotta love what we saw. And not only did the fights deliver, the promotion delivered, everything was just to a T. Everything minus the fucking KHABIB decision, but we'll talk about that shit in a second. But let's go ahead and continue talking about this fight. There was knockouts left and right. There were surprises, upsets. But the one I do want to talk about with the time that we do have today, Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit goes out there and defeats Matt Brown. And dude, I love these fights. Let's let the old guys play. Old guy fight, Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. Carlos Condit goes out there and gets unanimous decision, 30-27. Matt Brown's a little pissy about it. Matt Brown, friend of the show. Check us out. Go look through our repertoire, man. We've interviewed him a couple times. He's a great guy. But one thing I have to say about this is this, man. The fight was incredible. A lot of fun. Carlos Condit, 36. Matt Brown, obviously, he's 40 years old. Can Carlos Condit legitimately, after what I saw, be a contender in the UFC? And does he belong? Two parts. Does he belong? Look, picking up wins in the UFC is fucking difficult. I don't care who you are, okay? It don't matter who you are. It is what it is. It's hard to win at any level of the UFC. So yes, 1000% he belongs. And he showed me a lot of skill sets. It seemed like he came back a little bit. He went back to the drawing board and has really, I don't want to say developed his game, but has evolved to an extent. He's been around for such a long time, taking so much damage. And it kind of gets into, is Carlos Condit a contender? I'm going to be honest with you. No, Carlos Condit is not a contender, at least not for the UFC. This was his last fight on his UFC contract. I would like to see him go somewhere else, maybe to a Bellator, where the competition in his weight class, 170, isn't the best. So maybe if he does want to continue fighting, then he can. And he can continue fighting at a high level. He's only 36 years old, even though that 36 is a fucking old-ass 36. Here's the thing about it, though. In terms of the UFC, he struggles. And I said this on Mystic Black last week. He struggles with heavy grapplers. We saw what Damian Maia did to him. And the top of the weight class at 170 pounds, welterweight division, are grappler heavy. Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. If you can't wrestle, I mean, look, he was held down and controlled by Matt Brown. So when I see things like that, and yes, there was some really, and look, don't get it twisted. The fight was entertaining as shit, all right? And this is what I'm here for. So is he a contender? No. But can he continue giving me fights like this that I enjoy against other old guys? Fam, sign me the fuck up. Sign me the fuck up. Don't give these type of guys to these young, hungry lions that are trying to make a name for themselves. Do these fights like this. Fights that we would have loved to have seen. Rematches from way back. And that is a way that we can keep these type of athletes in the UFC. Look, man, he's not beating the best of the best, but shit, he can sure as shit be entertaining. And we saw that. They put up an amazing fucking matchup. Salute to those guys. Great fight between Matt Brown and Carlos Condit. Now, did I think it was 30-27? No, it wasn't 30-27. I had it 29-28. It is what it is, though. So I kindly understand where Matt Brown was coming from, why he was a little upset, but kind of still win the fight. It is what it is. All right. The whole card was fun, man. Like a lot of knockouts, a lot of back and forth action, straight beatdowns. It had a little bit of everything, and it was so much fun to watch. But one of the things that we woke up early Saturday morning, and Dana White announces that they're going to do something along the lines of a LeBron James decision type of show for Khabib and what's going to happen with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Is Khabib coming back? And they built it up. They said at 3 p.m. we're going to see what's going to happen with Khabib. We're going to announce it right fucking here. That's what's going to happen. And 3 p.m. comes, 3 p.m. Eastern time comes and goes. Literally a fight goes up there, nothing. And then all of a sudden Dana White comes up. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm rubbing my hands. I'm like, all right, is Khabib coming back? Is Khabib retired for sure? Dana White literally goes up there and says, womp, 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 womp. Womp, 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 womp. And walks the fuck off. He said nothing. He literally goes out there and says, Khabib Nurmagomedov says, hey, if they go out there and press me next week, maybe I'll come back. We'll see. So what he's saying is a maybe. I'm going to tell you guys this. What Dana's saying is a lie. All right. Khabib's not coming back, man. I've never heard Khabib once in his own voice say he's actually coming back. And the only thing I've heard him say in his own voice saying he's retired. Khabib's not coming back, people. He's doing Eagle Fighting Championships over there in Russia. He's probably going to have some sort of feeder program to the UFC, almost like an LFA or something like that. He's training guys. He's doing his thing. Khabib's not coming back. Khabib's not walking through that door, folks. It's not going to fucking happen. It is what it is. I hate to say that, but it's not going to happen. Hey, kind of going out there saying that he won fights and stuff is hilarious. That he's going out there. Maybe he's thinking he can goat Khabib back by doing that. It's not happening. Khabib's not coming back, guys. I'll be honest with you. I'll be very shocked if it happens. I'll be happy if it happens, but I highly doubt that happens. So, which brings me to my next point, right? With the decision. What ends up happening with the belt at 155 pounds? Since the decision 2.0 is pretty much, it's a maybe. I think what's going to end up happening is mid-year, Khabib will end up, relinquishing that belt. they'll end up having an interim fight. It all depends on what happens with Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor wins, they'll give him the belt within the next 90 days. If Conor McGregor loses, Dustin Poirier is going to have to fight another time before they give him an interim belt or an outright title against Charles Oliveira. Okay? It is what it is. That's what's going to end up happening with that one. But thanks for Dana White for stringing us along in the way he did. Like he always does. Love it. It was great theater. I mean, it is. I loved it. All right. Let's go ahead and finish off with this today. And thank you guys for joining us today, watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, man. This is episode 258 of the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, Serg Vicente. A little bit of morning coffee and fight news for you guys. But a lot is being made of UFC 260, man. And 2 huge fights were announced on that one. And actually, we posted those right on our Instagram page. Guys, for all your fight news and culture news, go ahead and sign up for at the Fight Pod. Not sign up, just fucking follow us on IG. That's what we do. We'll look out for you guys there. But UFC 260 is announced, man. We have a great main event and co-main event. Main event, we have the rematch between Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. And the co-main, we're going to end up getting the featherweight championship between Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. Both of these matchups are great. I literally can't wait. Let's start off really quick with the Alexander Volkanovski-Ortega fight. Look, let's not take anything away from Volkanovski. He's a great champion. He's one of the best in the game and very difficult style to deal with. Now, in terms of Brian Ortega is another beast. He took that ass whooping, took a couple years off, came back. We saw what he did against the Korean Zombie. This is going to be an amazing fight. 2 well-rounded guys. This is a pick'em fight for me. Obviously, we have a little bit of time to think about it, but as of right now, straight pick'em. And then obviously, we have the rematch, Stipe versus Francis Ngannou. I love this fight. This is a fight that should have happened a long fucking time ago. Francis has earned it. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I do think this is Francis's time. I see him winning this fight. But Stipe is the greatest heavyweight of all time, regardless on organization, man. So, hey, it is what it is. I love these matchups. UFC 260 is going to be fire. All right. With that being said, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Morning Coffee and Fight News. Remember, listen to the Fight Podcast everywhere. We're available Apple, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Check us out at fightpodcast.com. Listen, like, subscribe, and share right down there. Also, you can check us out at the Fight Podcast. Follow me at Serg Vicente. We have a great week coming up for you guys. Tomorrow, and you'll start seeing them, we're actually having on the show coming on, we have Andre Rozier. Andre Rozier, the head trainer, the former trainer of Denny Jacobs, the head coach and trainer of Edgar Berlanga and Elvis Rodriguez. We have all these guys, man. He is coming on the show tomorrow. So we have him on the show, man. I cannot wait to talk to him, one of the OGs of boxing. That's going to be such a good time. We have so much coming up this week. We have a fight roundtable with Mystic Black coming up this week. We're going to do that and so much more, man. A lot of fun. And, hey, thank you guys as always for joining me on the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, Serg Vicente. This is episode 258 of the greatest combat sports and culture show of the entire universe. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.